Hey there, I'm Jennifer Terri. I make Philippine Travel Updates. So, I know guys, the number one question, Jennifer, what's the update on the shorter quarantine? For now guys, we're still waiting, but some positive news that we're going to talk about today. DOH says, nods the shorter quarantine. Sabi nila, okay, sige. For so long, we've been fighting for a shorter quarantine. Ngayon, okay lang din pala. So, ba't yung pinatagal pa? DOH said that since studies show that vaccinated individuals had a lower viral load following the infection compared to their unvaccinated counterparts. So, yun naman pala. So, diba, bakit pinatagal pa? But, they approved, they said, okay, doon sa shorter quarantine, but they urged the government for a stricter border control. Ay, naker. So, DOH is like saying, yes, we can shorten the quarantine, but we still need to have border controls. For me, border control sounds like travel restrictions and strict compliance to the protocols. They're also encouraging LGUs to comply and monitor people for the quarantine. You know guys, diba na may quarantine pa sa final destination? But a lot of us naman, hindi na siya nagfa-follow at hindi na natutupad. Only certain LGUs lang ang strict when it comes to LGU quarantine or final destination quarantine. DOH also cited that elsewhere in Asia, Japan and Thailand already announced that they would ease quarantine rules for travelers who have been fully vaccinated. Yes, Philippines! Countries all over the world are easing restrictions on the fully vaccinated. I think it's high time that we do the same as well. We may not be able to totally to remove the quarantine days, but we owe it to the fully vaccinated to at least shorten it, diba? And it's not fair that only those vaccinated in the Philippines are eligible for a shorter quarantine because there's no sense in that. Now, for those asking what vaccines will be accepted in the Philippines, good question. So for now, with the green lanes, the Philippines will accept Philippine FDA approved vaccines for compassionate use and WHO emergency use vaccines. So Pfizer, AstraZeneca, CoronaVac, Sputnik, Janssen, Covaxin, Moderna and Sinopharm will be accepted. How about booster shots, Jennifer? We're not really concerned about booster shots right now. Even the Philippines is not administering booster shots. For now, what matters is that you're fully vaccinated. That's what counts now. Now, as you can see naman talaga that the Philippines is, I think they're easing restrictions, not so much about lockdowns anymore. In fact, according to the IATF spokesperson, lockdown is not the solution. We need to learn to live with COVID. At we need to reopen the economy so that the Filipinos can go back to work, can continue with their businesses, ganun. Well, Secretary Harry Roque, Governor Gwen said the same thing 6 months ago. So what the IATF is just realizing now, Governor Gwen has already thought about it months ago. She's the only one thinking ahead, really. Itong mga nasa government natin medyo late. And this was supported by NAIA Secretary. He said that lockdown does not solve the problem of the pandemic. It only adds up to the people who are hungry and those needing medicines for their sickness. The real solution is to implement minimum health standards and focus the strategy on high-risk areas. Speaking of high-risk areas, according to the Department of Health COVID-19 tracker, alam nyo guys, 31.5% of the COVID cases all throughout this pandemic is coming from NCR. NCR is heavily vaccinated. Last update, mga almost 80% ng adult population in NCR have received their first dose and more than 60% are fully vaccinated. So their vaccination, it is very high na. Yung sinabi nyo, na eleksyon, mag-ease ng restriction. Parang ganun nakikita ko. Ewan ko lang. Parang totoo talaga yung sinabi nyo, guys. Iilan sa inyo na sinasabi nyo na eleksyon na mag-ease ng restrictions? Yeah. I think so. I'll talk about US for those who want to go to the US, apply for a visa, or just waiting for their appointments. Not so good news. Unlike most European embassies in Manila, the US Embassy has not outsourced its online appointment system or submission of documents. So since it's operating with reduced staffing, the backlog or waiting time for an appointment for a new visa is now at 17 months. Renewal of visas, however, can be still done through Dropbox. So for those new visa applications needing appointments, ay naku po, pahirapan makakuha ng appointment. And last update we had for B1 and B2 interview appointments, they were actually canceled all throughout October 29. And the embassy does not know when will the full services resume. And another topic too, Philippine passport. Kailangan mo bang kailangan mo bang mag-renew ng passport? Ay naku, Jai. Kasi po, Philippine passport, there is a big backlog on that po. Maraming gustong mag-apply pero nahihirapan kumuha ng appointment. According to Undersecretary of the DFA, Dulay, the agency is opening pop-up or modular offices to augment the shortage of personnel in its passport processing sites. Shortage of personnel, ang raming walang trabaho sa Pilipinas. Still guys, itong problema naman talaga to is because of the pandemic. They cannot deploy more personnel at their offices because they have to comply with the physical distancing and venue capacity. Before pandemic, they could process 4 million passports. Pero since the start of this pandemic, only 1.7 million passports have been processed. Now, some good news with other countries. Ireland, well done, ends compulsory hotel quarantine for travelers. Ireland will stop its system of mandatory hotel quarantine arriving in the country, regardless of what country you come from. Wala nang hotel quarantine. Sana all. While, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. Australia will resume international travel. So, for guys who do not know, Australia po, pag Australian citizen ka or permanent resident ka, hindi ka pwedeng lumabas ng bansa. May ban, outbound ban. And umalis ako, nag-apply pa ako ng permission. Marami akong binigay na proof. I had to supply a lot of documents just so I could be allowed to leave Australia. Good news because our vaccination rate is very, very high now. I think we've overtaken the US now when it comes to first dose. We will be allowed to leave na. Yay! And would be allowed to home quarantine. I think this is good news for Balikbayans in Australia. You can now go home. Pwede na ang home quarantine. We don't have to pay the hefty 4,000 hotel quarantine fee. Maka-happy. I think this will start by October or November. Happy. Pwede na akong bumalik. Now, good news for Thailand for those. So, since foreign tourists are still not allowed to enter the Philippines as of now, and for now, the thing that's been buzzing is about the shortened quarantine. Not so much about tourism or reopening. So for Filipinas, foreigners who want to meet in a third country, Thailand has always been a good option since it's close, and Thailand has been open to fully vaccinated tourists. But unfortunately, the Philippines was not included in the sandbox scheme. But hey, good news! Thailand will accept travelers who are fully vaccinated regardless of country of origin. So Filipinos can participate in the sandbox scheme. They are welcoming all travelers from any country as long as you're fully vaccinated. So you guys can book your holidays to Tourism Haven Phuket. Wow! And they're also shortening the quarantine from 14 days to just 7 days. As long as you're fully vaccinated. Wow! But you still need to quarantine in a hotel. But that's big news, no? We can now participate. Pwede na tayong... So for those who want to meet in a third country, Thailand is a good option. I mean, they're still quarantined, but it's very close to the Philippines, and Filipinos are visa-free to Thailand. So that is the update for today, guys. Mga hindi pa nakapag-register to vote, there's been an extension. You can still register. Mag-register na po kayo. And overseas registration then is also extended. So for those Filipinos abroad. So that is the update for today, guys. I'll see you in another update tomorrow. Mag-ingat kayo and God bless. Stay safe. Bye-bye.